All right. I want to. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Without rushing anybody, I just want to be clear that tonight is the first time in 20 years, other than the short COVID season, the Marlins are playing in the playoffs. They thankfully they have a late game. Their game is not scheduled to start until the game is not scheduled to start until 8:00. But if we go through our normal routine and we get through the meeting, we all should be able to get home to be able to see the first pitch. So just right. Go Marlins. So I want to call the meeting to order. Clarissa, if you want to do the roll call? Yeah. Oh.
Miguel Martinez, Felicia Salazar, Hector Abad, Dottie Wicks. I don't see Matthew Casamayor, Lindsay Wallach. Rudy Lloredo emailed he will not be attending. I don't see Homero Cruz. I do not see Renard Amaro nor Ruben Arguelles. Nancy Rogers is here. Jose Fernandez and Ryan Holland are not here. John Roger, here. William Perez, and Brian Rodriguez. Thank you.
Perfect. Anybody have any deferrals, additions, or deletions to the agenda that they wanted to add or delete from the agenda? All right. Public comments, I don't think, well, Mario? No? I know you're here, you serve on several committees, on a couple committees, but you're officially part of the public because you're not one of the chairs, so. Committee rules, Lorenzo, I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, no, just quickly, as we do every single year, just to remind you that we do have rules, we do have access online to a link where you can learn more about the different rules that govern your committee. One of the more important things to understand is that your committee is different than any other committee you may participate in any other volunteer organization, in the sense that you belong to the government of the town of Miami Lakes. You are an extension of the council person or the mayor that appointed you to the committee. And as such, you and everybody else in the committee have to abide by the same laws and rules that govern all other communication by government. What does that mean? That means that there's two very important laws. One of them, there's many important laws, but two very important ones. One of them is public record, and the other one is sunshine. Public record means that anything that you communicate with each other, any document that you receive during your committee meeting, anything that you exchanged, any paper, anything, right, really is a public document, and it needs to be preserved. If anybody asks for, hey, look, I want to know that flyer, or see that flyer that was passed on at such and such meeting of, the Youth Activities Task Force, they can go to Brian, and Brian can say, yes, I gave it to the liaison gave it to the clerk, and it's there for distribution. The other one is sunshine, and listen, it's one of the more it's one of the more annoying, I was trying to find the right word, more annoying rules or laws. It's not a rule, it's a law that we have, because we live in a small town, and we all want to do what's best for our town. And we all are very excited about our committees, and we all want to be able to talk, outside of the committee, as far as, planification of events and different things that we do and activities and priorities, but you can't. Any communication that is with regards to something that you're going to vote on, something that you guys are going to spearhead as a body, as in your individual committees, has to be discussed in the sunshine. What that means, it's got to be done in a public meeting. If it's for an event, if it's for a particular for a particular campaign that you guys want to push forward, you can hash those ideas out in a subcommittee meeting. But the point is, it always has to be done in a public meeting where notice is given and the opportunity for people to attend and find out what's being discussed is had. It's come to my attention. And if it's come to my attention, my concern is that it will come to other people's attention, that there's emails, that there's text messages that are being sent regarding events, regarding campaigns, regarding activities with other committee members asking for their consent. There was even one, I think, that maybe asked for a vote. Don't do that. If you do that, you just may end up with a misdemeanor. You may end up with a fine. You may end up on the first page of the Miami Herald. And worse than all of that is you're going to hurt your town, because in doing that, you will hurt the town of Miami Lakes. Okay. So my job is to inform and educate so that you don't do or make those mistakes and then hurt yourself, because that's a record and a blemish on yourselves. And you guys are all excellent people. And you guys are all my neighbors. And this is not only I'm here as the town attorney, I'm here as your neighbor. I live here down the street on Mahogany. So I don't want that to be part of this town. I don't want that on you. So I ask, please, I don't ask. I really can't state this enough. Right now, there's a lot of things we're seeing in the news at the city of Miami, at other city municipalities. And I mentioned city of Miami because it's the one that's mostly in the headline news. There was a commissioner that was arrested. But besides that, there are other investigations, other things going on. And the ethics department is being very, very vigilant. And so we don't want to catch ourselves as being one that they're going to make us an example. So please knock it off. Thank you.
All right. The next item, budgeting and finance. And this is an item that it's kind of like a recurring, I wouldn't call it a problem, but an issue that comes up, which is many of your committees doing the right thing, wanting to get what the current financial status of your committee budget and how much you spent and everything. When there are expenses that have been paid for with the credit card, it becomes difficult. And so, and I only say that it's not, I don't say that to say that we shouldn't use the credit card for expenses, because it expedites things and makes things more efficient, quicker, easier. But the expectation from the committee standpoint should not be that we're always going to have a to the penny budget number on your budget, because of the fact that the credit card expenses and the purchases are always in arrears. We have to wait for the statement to come in, then finance charges it to your budget. So there's always going to be a lag time on items that when we cut a check, the check is cut. When we pay for something with a check, it's automatic. It's right at the moment. But when something is charged to a credit card, then the reconciliation of that is usually at least a 30-day lag. So the numbers that you're asking from your liaison are always going to have to take that into consideration. And it was just a reminder to keep that in mind. If you want a day-to-day to the penny number, then we can't use the credit card for your expenses, but then that'll make things cumbersome on your end. So that's the good and the bad of using the credit card. So.
And I'll take this opportunity to remind you all, at least the ones that I'm liaison with, and I'm sure the other staff members have shared with you guys as well in various occasions. You do not have to wait on us to pull up your budgets. We do have an online module that any of you can go to at any given moment and pull up your numbers in real time in regards to anything that has already hit the account. So I'm just reminding you all, please use those tools to your benefit. And back to the credit card, as he mentioned, you guys can continue using the credit card if you don't feel like it affects you when you're trying to pull up the numbers, as Mr. Peterman mentioned. The other alternative is some of you have appointed treasurers in your committees. Those treasurers would have to keep those numbers for you in terms of what's been charged to the credit card, so that they can give you an updated number. You guys are keeping track of what your dollars are, and you're not waiting on that report that will take a cycle or two before you have that real-time number. So those are just 2 pointers that I wanted to give you all.
Are there any questions or any concerns dealing with that and that understanding that if you use the credit card, there's going to be a lag on your budget. If you don't use a credit card, we'll be able to give you to-the-minute numbers if you need them. And your inquiries, your research online will also be to the minute. Yes, Felicia. Yeah. Make sure it's turned on, yeah.
Hello. Okay, I have a quick question. We have our event coming up October 14th, and we have people who are buying, supplies, and we have an estimate here for the event. We were having an issue with where to find some of the products that we want to, have in the event, and I found out that we found a place that will provide it to us. The person who's donating that product is willing to give the town a check, because I checked with the place, and first they said, yeah, we'll accept the check, but now they say, no, it's a credit card. So I don't want to use my own credit card, but if we pay for it, and then, because they're going to give us like a discount when we finally pick up the items, and so I don't have a full amount. If I get the credit card, pay for it with it, and then the person says, well, this is the total, I'll give you the check. Will the town accept the check from the person donating the items?
So I want to be clear. You're using a personal credit card?
No, I'm requesting, I sent an email to Isle, and I copied Claricel about the requesting to see if I could use the town credit card to pick up the items, because I was gonna say, well, give us the check and we'll write a check, but they're not accepting checks.
Yeah.
The store is not
If
accepting
it's
checks.
if it's part of your event budget,
Yeah.
and that's like
Yeah,
any other
we already
expense.
have it in the budget.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so
Yes.
it is a donation from somebody to the event, but they say, no, because last year it was kind of crazy, and they say, no, we'll give you the money, get the items, and we'll give you the money after you get it, because they don't want to be running around looking for it. Yes, a sponsorship. Okay.
Yeah, the only point I'll bring up to you in regards to the email that you sent is you talked about taxes, and this is a reminder to everybody, whoever uses their credit card, we are tax exempt, and the vendors do have to honor that, and we're happy to provide you a copy of that
Okay,
certificate.
yeah, because it was the item plus tax, and then they give us a 10% discount when we pay. So I don't know how that plays, but it's okay. I'll ask them to, because if we go, I know sometimes you have to fill out a form and all that, and I need to know, so I can either email it to them so they can fill it out, or.
So we should use the credit card for those expenses,
Mhm.
because then we'll supply them with the tax exempt information, and we won't pay taxes on those items. And if whatever you want to buy, then if the people want to, give us a check, then that would just be, like Claricel said, it'd just be the equivalent of a sponsorship for the event.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to complicate it. I know when we did the Hispanic Heritage last year, I think we had Francisca, and they had to fill out the form, and I don't want to complicate it with them. We're getting a very good price. It's like everywhere else was very expensive or more expensive. So if you give me the form, I'll send it to them. Hopefully I'll pick up the items on Saturday.
Yeah,
But I
ju-
need to know how to proceed on that.
Yeah, just I'll make sure that that
Thank you.
gets
Yeah, I want to
handled.
make sure we have everything for
Yeah.
the event. Thank you.
Claricel, the item on the budget.
Thank you. So, last,
One quick question, because I know you were talking to us about the town credit card. We don't have credit cards, right? Okay, that's why I was confused. I didn't know if it was towards us or the liaisons.
Some of them have their own credit card, some of them they have access to Claricel's credit card or what have you. So
Got it. Got it. I just wanted to clarify with you just in case I may not be the only one, so. Exactly, that's what I wanted to make sure.
I think the point, Brian, just to be very clear, I think the point is, and I don't know if this is the case with your committee, but sometimes the volunteers have to go out and buy something, let's say from Publix. And the liaison doesn't necessarily go, it's the volunteer. We give them our credit card. So that's the point, that we just want to make sure they know that they should use a tax exempt certificate at that point, so that the purchase doesn't reflect taxes. That was the point of that.
All right.
So last week, council approved fiscal year 2024. This is just to notify you that you have been granted, for those that had budgets last year in except for blasting, you have received the same amount that you were granted last fiscal year. And blasting, congratulations, you have $7,500 for this fiscal year. Any questions on budget?
And I know Elderly Affairs met last night, but I want to be very clear. Although everybody remained the same, Elderly Affairs does see a difference of $2,500 due to the request that was made where we transferred the freebie money, and that no longer comes out of Elderly Affairs.
Here's the mic, please.
Bill.
All right. We want to add some line numbers because we have them funding. But I was concerned about, we have events that don't have line numbers like Memorial Day. And so what's the process to add that line number?
Just, who's your liaison?
Jonathan?
Jonathan, okay.
So,
We just vote on it,
I think
Jonathan?
in our June meeting, we discussed having line items created, and I already spoke with Kay. We should have our Memorial Day line item and a Patriot Day line item set up already.
Oh, thank you. Problem solved. Appreciate
So
it.
it makes it a lot easier when we have events that we're using, we can move money into it because it's an approved line. So we
Yeah, it
should be
wasn't a
good on
matter
that.
of the funding, it was a matter of the line numbers, and
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah,
I didn't
we-
want it to mess
We have
that up.
empty accounts now.
Yeah, thanks.
I believe we should. I can double check with Kay, but we should be good on that.
Everyone, Matthew Casamayor has just shown up.
All right. Brian, go ahead.
One thing I did want to say from the budget, and that's an issue that we're having, and I'm sure we're not the only committee that's having this issue, is that they didn't take into account inflation. Giving us the same budget just means now our events are going lower than going up or the same, because now the prices have almost doubled on everything. So I just wanted to put that out there and put it on the record that they approved our budgets to the same without taking into account inflation prices. So now my Halloween, for example, my Halloween event, we'd need double that money to even run that event. We have the same amount of money, and now we're struggling a little bit when it comes to our budget. That's why when we made our budget, we also took into account inflation prices. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
All right, let's go through the committee reports. And let's start. I think the last time we went from the back to the front. We'll go from the front to the back. Miguel, you're first up. Brian, if you can give him the mic there.
I know it's difficult tearing the mic away from him, but so far so good. This one's a bit lengthy, so forgive me in advance. And overlapping from the previous meeting, returning from Tallahassee, we went to Tallahassee lobby, obviously. Mayor Sid forwarded me some communications from a professor from University of Miami. He was doing investigations via satellite imagery regarding the strata movement for volcano eruption and lava flow. He was advised to look at our area. He happened to be advised by a professor that I'm working with, that I've been working with for many years, regarding the blasting. When he did so, he found significant movement of our structures. He started with Champlain Tower and looking at historical data to notice that Champlain Tower had had movement and was affected by seismic activity. He then looked at our area. The Home Depot, as an example, the Home Depot in Miramar off 75 has moved over an inch, I believe it was. And lo and behold, a building in between Miramar and this location happened to be my office and moved 7/8 of an inch and measurable by satellite. So obviously I was taken aback because it's even involving me even further. Speaking with this professor, I had him come and give a presentation to the community here in these chambers. And his intent was looking for funding for a more developed study of the issue. The state initially had denied his request for whatever reason, but I've placed him in contact with State Fabricio, and hopefully things happen with that. Parallel to that, we've been trying to work directly with the Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association. The Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association is a community, if you will, of all limestone mining operations combined together. So there are 5, excuse me, there are 5 companies that work in Miami-Dade County. And these people kind of like organize the heads of those entities. So in December, we hosted a town hall meeting where residents can come and air their testimony, give their testimony, and that would provide us data to have a round table discussion with the miners themselves in January. Unfortunately, only one company initially accepted the invitation, and then they rescinded that invitation and nobody showed up. The day before the meeting, the Miami-Dade Limestone Association sent an email to the town regarding the invitation and then denying it. Not denying it, but unaccepting it, if you will. They also advised that they would offer to provide their own meeting and invite us to go. We immediately sent a letter accepting their invitation, but nothing came of that. We then replied to them again, of which they then finally replied to us. I like to read it for you guys into record. To the town of Miami, this is from the Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association. Town of Miami Lakes Blasting Advisory Board. Thank you for contacting Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association. Regrettably, your letter of February 16, 2023 arrived in a seldom checked inbox and was only recently received and reviewed by our members. Today, more than 10,000 South Floridians work together to produce FDOT grade construction aggregates in the Lake Belt region. Without their essential efforts, it would not be possible to build or maintain the roads, bridges, homes, and hospitals on which we depend. Consequently, it's very important to our industry that our neighbors have access to accurate and scientifically sound information about our operations. While the Town of Miami Lakes Blasting Advisory Board has previously expressed its commitment to public education to this matter, recent actions by the board continue to raise questions about the extent of that commitment. Specifically, it has come to our attention that one or more board members are encouraging residents to file complaints with the fire marshal's office. Understand that that is the Miami-Dade pilot program paid by our tax dollars at the state level, handled by the CFO's office, where residents can file their complaints and the ground shakes and structure shaking and damage that we're experiencing. They obviously don't like that. Regardless of any damage occurring and regardless of whether residents are even home at the time of the shot. The fire marshal's office process was intended to address genuine concerns, and we believe it should remain that way. It is important that our neighbors have access to clear, accurate, and scientifically sound information about our operations. To that end, we will independently attempt to address the questions of local residents, which have been already raised in various public settings in a manner that is consistent with sound science and genuine education. Sincerely, Vicki Thomas, Executive Director. Subsequent to that, we replied. Ms. Thomas, please allow this letter to serve as a confirmation that we are in receipt of your letter dated May 15, 2023. To our letter, February 16, 2023, the Town of Miami Lakes Blasting Advisory Board is again disappointed by the MDLPA, Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association, refusal to work with in good faith to address the longstanding complaints and issues related to the blasting activity of 2 of your members. Understand that 2 of the members is CEMEX and White Rock Quarries. they continue to blast at just below legal limit levels, which is why we experience it, and they happen to be in our area. The rest of the mining locations are throughout the county. The BAB and the, I'm sorry? No, sorry. The BAB and the town of Miami Lakes will continue to search for fair and equitable solutions to end the constant damage to our homes, businesses, and infrastructure in Northwest Miami-Dade County. In your last letter, you indicate that instead of meeting with the BAB, the town of Miami Lakes, you will work on educating residents independently. We are unaware of any of these efforts that you allege are being taken by the MLDPA. Thousands of homes feel the effects of the blast in Miami Lakes, and many more hundreds of thousands of people in the region. The community physically, economically, and emotionally feels the earthquakes blast in our community. This is causing mental and economic damage to our residents in Miami Lakes. You must understand that the MDLPA own website states that door slamming and hammering nails causes greater vibration in homes than blasting. That's a direct quote. Coupled with the lack of any action on the part of MDLPA, your words fall on deaf ears. This is unfortunate due to the fact that the majority of the mines in Miami-Dade County are blasting at responsible levels. That's to say that the Miami-Dade pilot program is recording or is being advised of blasts that are below trigger limits. That's below the recording equipment to trigger the recording equipment to turn on. That's how low they're blast at, except these two companies. Let us assure you that the Blasting Advisory Board remains committed to our desire to improve dialogue and educate the public on issues related to blasting. We are unaware of any misinformation being proposed by the BAB. The Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association must understand that no single member may speak on behalf of the BAB individually, just as no member of the MDLPA actions reflect the entire association. Your association is aware that the BAB has always taken a position of the product provided by the mines of the Miami-Dade Limestone Product Association are essential for the economy. The BAB has not advocated for the shutting of your mines or the end of the mine blasting activity. We are advocating for a coexistence where your members can provide essential products to commerce in the state, and residents can live in peace, free from homes shaking daily. The BAB, Town of Miami Lakes, and other government officials have been attempting a considerable amount of time to reach reasonable resolution regarding the impact of mine blasting in Northwest Miami-Dade. We continue to be open to coordinating with the MLDLPA and its principal members to a meeting, and we will accommodate your request for a mutual agreeable venue and meeting format. We also strive to work with the MLDLPA and its individual members, not against them, to find an equitable solution that brings relief to the residents of the town of Miami Lakes and the rest of the region being affected by the daily blasting. However, we don't require your assistance if you wish to take such a path. The coalition against the irresponsible practice of some of your members is growing, not only in Miami-Dade County, but at a state level. The BAB, the town of Miami Lakes, will continue to use its resources available to it and work with the county, state, and federal partners to seek relief for the residents of Miami Lakes and the entire region affected by mine rock blasting in Southeast Florida. If you wish to reconsider your position or refusing to meet with the BAB, you may contact our staff liaison through contact information listed in the footer of this letter. This letter we sent a response to them, but we also sent it to the governor, the CFO, all local elected officials, and the all state legislators. They're aware of, we got a problem here and we're trying to cooperate, and we're not receiving any cooperation. So with that, we've also provided an invitation to the deputy CFO of the state of Florida, Julie Jones, but we have to have a response from her. Moving forward, a resident, Abel Fernandez, created a town hall meeting inviting the mayor of Cava to attend. Although this wasn't a sanctioned event from the town, I think it's pertinent. Most of the council members went, many council members went, many residents went, and it was pretty significant. I gave a presentation from my own behalf, and I included information that hadn't been presented thus far. Included information of an engineer, forensic structural engineer from the Philippines, actually, that have been contacted with me and provided me a video of a sample data that I provided him of actual energy wave recorded of what we're experiencing. he puts it on a shake table, which is an instrument that will reproduce the actual vibration that we're experiencing. So we can see it. It's real. He confirmed with me that what we have is debonding occurring within 2.5 years of experiencing the frequency of the blast that we do. We're in a serious predicament, very serious predicament. I was able to compare the energy wave that took down Surfside to the energy waves we're experiencing here locally. The difference is construction practices are different on the shore or the beach than what we have here. So we don't have the damage that and how it collapsed that property as compared to what we have. But the damages are real and we're experiencing them. CAVA promised in 90 days to get back to us with findings of what the county can do on our behalf. The 90 days came and went. I contacted staff to see where they're at. And unfortunately that they've been tied up with the fiscal year of the county and now has given me word that they're setting up a date. They don't have a date or a venue yet, but it will be at the end of October to find out what the county's position is and how they can assist. However, I was also made aware by the state of regarding what is called the UDB, the urban development boundary. The county has this UDB boundary where within it is a zoning, if you will, what's for certain densities of construction and population to be. Outside this UDB, the legal limit of 0.5 peak particle velocity, 0.5 inches per second doesn't apply. Basically, think of Chrome Avenue as the boundary of this UDB. So the residents and the developments or structures that exist outside to the west of Chrome Avenue are actually experiencing and have experienced blast higher than the legal limit. Certain areas will be moved of that line will be moved westward. So they'll be brought inside the urban development boundary. I've confirmed with the county. The mayor had requested a meeting with department directors and myself where I presented this information, of which I was corrected that it was not. I was advised by the state that the line was moving inward. So if it's moving inward, that means the structures that are along that line will now be outside that line and affected by the uncontrolled blasts. In fact, the line in certain areas will be moved outward. Either way, structures that are along that boundary, there's no physical boundary to stop this energy wave. So they're still being affected just the same. The measuring devices are outside the boundary and they are above the legal limit within the boundary. So since there is no way to stop that energy wave, if they're above the limit, you know that immediately within it, they're getting affected that way as well. So something of interest. Now, regarding Mayor Cava, she presented to the public that the county has been removed, if you will, certain rights and regulations from the county has within powers and jurisdictions regarding blasting. At the end of this meet, at the end of that meeting, I privately advised her that that's false. She's being advised by the county attorneys. They've advised me the same, and of which I showed her on county regulations. There are regulations, and just for argument's sake, in layman's terms, if there are 20 items that is the regulation, 5 have been moved to the state. That leaves 15, and those 15 are being ignored. So I advise her, you can't cherry pick laws. They all got to go. It's all or nothing. She has to give it for me to give it in writing, which I provided the statute, the items that are being ignored and are enforced, including rights of property owner, it's acknowledgement for the realtors to have to notify a property owner if you're adjacent to a mining activity. And that's enforced by the realtors. You can ask any realtor in the house for that. That's given on the closing statements. So nonetheless, we are awaiting the end of this month for her findings on that. Now, moving forward with the BAB, I recruited, if you will, a person that does marketing. She actually used to work for the county and is well versed in how the communications, if you will, to get to get a broader reach of for people. I acknowledge that the information I provide may be at a higher level for people to understand, for certain persons to understand. So there's a disconnect between the information we provide and the general public. So she is doing her best to bring the rest of these people in so that we have a larger coverage. So we're in the process of developing a new logo, a new image for the BAB, where it'll better reflect what we do for the public and what's involved. Hopefully we can get some marketing literature done and printed with that. We've also discovered that other municipalities across the state are experiencing the same damage we're experiencing. Fort Myers, Orlando, north side of Orlando. Matter of fact, north side of Orlando has implemented regulations to control it, even though the regulations, according to our county, is done by the state. So we need to delve into that. And then currently now with the budget in place for us, thankfully, we're now preparing for our own lobby trip again to Tallahassee. And Doral, yeah, oh, no, yes, Doral's involved in it as well. State Rep Fabricio is submitting bills and being co-sponsored with Avila, Senator Avila. So once that's released, we can focus on what the language is and focus on the committees and spokesmen of those committees in Tallahassee to push for those things. So what's that? November, we're looking to go. Yes. Reader's Digest version of long information.
I'd hate to see the whole book. No, just kidding. All right. Thank you very much, Miguel. Felicia, Cultural Affairs.
Thank you. We're putting together real quick. Our activities are, I think we didn't meet the deadline for our report to the council in October, so we may have to do it in November. I have the information here, but I don't want to read it without our committee approving it. Basically, we have some issues with membership problems. People, apply to be in the committee, but they're not coming to events. I mean, not events, but to the meetings, and also they're not participating in some other events. So if it falls on a few of us to run the events. I mean, I don't know how the town can help us with that, making sure that we get the right members to the committee, because as you know, we do a lot of activities. Basically, we have a budget. I think we requested, because of inflation and things are costing more, we'll have to work on the sponsorship, because otherwise we cannot do the events. We've been trying to combine events and eliminating some of them that have like low participation to see we can, I mean, our goal is to provide events to the residents, and there's some that everybody likes, some like this event coming up. We have a lot of people registering. Sometimes half of the people come. So it's been a challenge. We have also events coming up. I'd like to invite everybody to participate, which are the Hispanic Heritage Month on October 14th, our holiday book reading, which we work with the Education Advisory Board. They provide books for the kids who attend. Then we have, we're trying to combine, because since we had it's a very significant event, the Juneteenth, but it's not very well attended. And what we want to do is either do a proclamation on Juneteenth, and then on February, when we do our Black History Month, to do history sections showing the two combined, because I don't want to. I mean, I promise our mayor that we will celebrate Juneteenth somehow, and basically we have we're gonna maybe change the type of activity that we do, because we normally have a concert at the, or chorale concert at the church, but we maybe do it different this year for more participation. We had a good turnout, by the way, on that one. We had a very good turnout for our Symphony of the Americas in August, and all the other events that we've been having. The one that we sort of like took it out of the budget because of, you know, it was just in December, we're trying to see. And actually the committee approved was the Art Around Town instead of calling it the Art Basel Celebration or Art Basel Exhibit. So we're collaborating with a local artist who has a gallery here. And as you can see, some of the artwork is already up. We requested to have it for the October 14th event. And she wanted to showcase the art and use the town as, you know, showcase art around the town. So we may be working with other businesses around the town, but she wanted our committee to be involved in it. I'll give you more detail later because, you know, this is in the works, but at least we have someone who really wants to bring out the art in our community. We have the exhibit here. It's going to be on display for 6 months, then it's going to be rotated. They have requested to have people come in during our office hours from 8 to 5 and view the art. We also have coming up Women of Distinction in March, and basically, yeah, we always have activities every month. So we invite everybody to attend and support us. And we're struggling with the sponsors like always, but we're hanging in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Hector, Education Advisory Board.
Right. So thank you very much for hosting us again and for bringing us together and creating a forum for us to discuss our committees. So I'm going to go back towards the beginning of the summer because I don't remember what I said at the last committee meeting. So we did host our annual Awards of Excellence. At that event, we had about 140 guests or so present. We recognized 12 students, a Teacher of the Year. We collaborated with the mayor's office to recognize 8 retiring teachers in the schools. And we provided 2 students with a Miami Lakes Future Leaders Scholarship. And that was funded by the Graham Company. They sponsored it. At that event, we had the mayor, we had some of the town councilmen, we had town staff. We had our school board member, we had district, region, school administrators, we had our sponsors being represented. So I thought it was a great event. We continue to collaborate with different committees. Obviously, Felicia mentioned the Cultural Affairs. We seem to be very involved in some of her events, and they're very wonderful events. We will be participating again this year in the Mrs. Claus holiday book reading. In November, we conducted actually at the council's request, the Manatee Alternate Town Seal Contest. A winner has been chosen. Actually, today we received the actual printout. So hopefully in November, I believe they're going to be posting it somewhere in town hall, I don't know if inside the chambers or outside. And it's wonderful because the winner is a kid who's on the autism spectrum. And it was a beautiful, beautiful painting that he submitted. We continue to recognize our seniors. We placed 41 senior banners throughout the town, recognizing our high school seniors. And we keep meeting with our principals, the North Region Office staff, with intergovernmental affairs, trying to strengthen that relationship that we have and that bond between the town, the schools, and our students. Actually, today, for the first time, right before this meeting, we had a subcommittee meeting with student leaders from all our schools. We had 19 students representing all 6 schools in the town. I thought it was a wonderful event that our student advisor, Maritza Costa, held. Mr. Pineda, who's our vice chair, was there along with myself. We're collaborating with our local schools to create a digital informational flyer that the town's going to post. I have had some schools who actually have shown me what they're going to submit. I don't know if they have already. And we're going to be starting soon the process of planning that 3rd annual Education Advisory Board Awards of Excellence. I know it's going to take a lot of sponsorship money, so I think we need to start early. But again, guys, like I've said to all in the past, we've collaborated with youth activities, with cultural affairs. I think even the Special Needs Advisory Board at one point requested some information from the schools, and I provided it to them. So I know we struggle for volunteers. I know sometimes our events, it's hard because we're not participating, the members of the board are not participating. But if we can piggyback on each other, we did the plaque revealing the Franklin Deer, with mental health. If we collaborate with each other, strength is in numbers, right? And obviously it's always going to be a core group of people who participate. And I think a lot of them are sitting in this room. So let's just work with each other to make our event successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Dottie, Elderly Affairs.
Thank you. The Elderly Affairs Committee has been doing really well this year with the bingos. We had to cut them down to one a bingo a month, which we will be going back to 2 in January. Right now, we're planning our Halloween party, which is on October the 25th. And then we got the Thanksgiving party and the Christmas party. Our parties, our bingos are well attended, probably more than sometimes we want, but that's good because the seniors like to get out and this is their opportunity to do that. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dottie. Economic Development, Matthew.
8. I'm in the same kind of boat as Dottie, honestly. We've been doing events that they've been going on throughout the year. The business network and socials that we kind of hold with the EDC, with partnered up with the chamber. It's a good opportunity for businesses and the business community to connect here in the town. We're also holding it, as always, at restaurants here in the town, so people get a chance to connect with the community, eat the restaurants here at the community. The big thing that we just did recently was our small business boot camp that we held right here in Town Hall. I wanted to thank Isle and Jonathan. First of all, you guys are awesome. Thank you. They hooked it up awesome for that. The event went great. I've already heard some feedback from a couple people here in the town, a couple of business people that attended, that they got a lot of good information. I'm looking forward to holding that next year. I want to do a survey, see if we can get some information to see what we can do to clean it up, make it a little bit of a better process. But overall, I think it was a really good opportunity for the town, and I'm hoping it's something that we can keep as a mainstay here as an event for the business community. It was partnered with Miami-Dade County as a whole. So it was cool to have that partnership between the town and the county. We worked a lot with Mayor Cava's office, and it was great. Big props to Steve Brimo as well for helping to set that all up. Other than that, we have our next event is October 24th. We're doing like a networking social. It's more on the EDC and Miami Lakes Chamber side of things, but we're gonna, or BNI, I should say, but we're gonna try to jump in there as well as the EDC. But that's it for me. Hope to see you guys at all future events, and if you guys can join the ribbon cuttings too. I know that the business people appreciate it. The new restaurant owners and business owners, they love having people there at the ribbon cuttings, and the more people we get, the more of a fun event it is there. So thanks.
Thank you, Matthew. Mental Health Task Force, Lindsay Wallach.
Hi, guys. How are you? Happy to announce that we finally got rolling. We finally have members and we finally met quorum to have meetings. We are now in the final stages of finalizing a lot of the resources that we had planned to have for the town. We participated with some at the chamber. We were there. We were able to introduce ourselves. We've been going to some of the committee meetings and introducing ourselves. So we're finally rolling. So hopefully by the next one, I'll have much more information to provide, but we do have a lot of things that we're planning, a lot of events that we hopefully also can coordinate with a lot of you guys. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Public Safety, Nancy. Somebody can pass her a mic, please.
Well, we just finished up with our big event of the year, which is the Public Safety and Fire Department Appreciation Breakfast and Award Ceremony. That's our one and only big event. Usually what we do is we will piggyback and collaborate with other committees. Now that I know what our budget is going to be. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on doing sponsorships and that type of thing. But I appreciate the fact that we can continue doing what we have been doing and hopefully go further and help other committees. For instance, we don't wear uniforms and things like that, but Brian knows that we're always there for his Youth Activities Task Force Halloween event. It's a big event with a lot of people. And I appreciate Officer Amador and everyone else here, and especially Isle, who puts up with my thousand questions, and most of them are repetitive. So thank you all. Who's next?
Thank you very much, Nancy. John, Special Needs Advisory.
Pass. Just kidding. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So I want to say that we've had a really great year. You know, we've had a lot of things that held us back in the first couple of years. We had the COVID situation kind of shut down all of our processes. And when we tried to restart them, we lost members, we lost our liaison, we lost our ability to do anything. And we just kept working and working until we finally got some events going. Many of you saw us at 4th of July. That was amazing to be a partner with you guys to bring the first special needs room, so that we had the ability to let folks be able to go to the fireworks show and have a room to go to when sensory overload hits. And even though we only had about 7 people go, and we did give away roughly 15 or 16 of our headphones, we know that what we're going to do for next year is going to be even bigger. Things that we've, taken away from seeing. We learned a lot about the need for additional signage everywhere, so people can know that where it is. Like, I did not realize how many people in our town don't know that the Mary Collins Center is right behind them when they're sitting on the yard in the Veterans Park. So now that I've learned that, we're going to put signs up. We're going to make sure people know where we are and what we're doing. We've been working on putting those together. The other thing I would say is, we still have some more events that are coming up. We are in the process of finalizing some type of special needs art show. It's still in the works. We originally wanted to do it in October, but that's been pushed off to maybe November or December. But whenever it does happen, we will be making sure to make the announcements. We're going to participate in the lighting ceremony at Main Street as we usually do. And this time, I promise you, we're not buying 100,000 different candy canes. And we won't be giving them away for the rest of the year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I will say, it's been a pleasure being a part of this board and being a leader of the board this is my second year, I think, doing this now. And as we just wrapped up, I think what I would consider our biggest event, which is the Mayor's Gala. In the years that we've done it, the last 3 years that I've been involved in it myself, I think this one, it may not have been as glamorous as last year's with the 20s theme, but this year was way bigger than any one we've ever had before. And I got to give hats off to everyone that helped us, because we reached, I think, 42 sponsors for the event. And we had a $10,000 sponsor in Univita. It was unbelievable. We did an hour and a half live on Facebook before the event even started, talking to people as they came in. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought this was a Hollywood production. And I hope we actually make it that way in the years to come, because it's a lot of fun. And it's definitely great, because whenever we raise that money, we're able to turn around and make more programs, do more things, which, if you've been to our council meetings lately, we have 2 new projects that are about ready to kick off. Some of them are going to maybe a little bit delayed, but we have an animation class program that's been approved that is going to offer animation classes to the adults with special needs. It's the first time that anyone's ever done this. This program has been offered from Miami-Dade for the youth for years, and this is the first time they're doing it for adults only. So that is huge. And then we also have worked on putting together a program with a karate group, or I say it's karate, but it's martial arts. It's non-contact martial arts for those with special needs. It's amazing. So this is great. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide more for the community. We're going to kickstart again or restart our monthly or bi-monthly training sessions, where we're going to bring in experts like the attorney who was here just a few minutes ago, that'll talk about the different things that folks may not be aware of when it comes to guardianship and such, and having BCBAs and mental health as we go through the next year to offer to the public. So it's going to be a very exciting time. I'm looking forward to seeing what the presentation is in November to see what we raised. I know with inflation and everything that did go up, like you mentioned, it's been up, and we hit it too, because a lot of the sponsors that we normally get in kind said we need money this year. So we've had to put a little money forward. So we'll see where that number evens out. But other than that, I think the only thing our board would like to recommend to the town that I think we've all discussed this, and I think even some of the members of other committees, we've talked about this too. This is something maybe the town can think about for us as boards members. We would like to get some sort of identification. I know the shirt's nice, but a lot of the sponsors that we've tried to get, even people that know us in our own town, they want a business card. They want to see that we actually work with the town, and that what they're donating is actually going to the town. And when you do that process of trying to speak to them and say, well, can you verify with the town? Okay, they call, we call, they call, we call, the event passes and nothing happens. So if there's some way that maybe the board or the town can look into getting us, at least the chair people and the vice chairs, some identification to be able to show anyone that we're trying to get sponsorship from that we are authentically who we say we are, it would be a tremendous help in getting those resources to make it happen. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John. Veterans, Bill.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm going to start off with the mission of the Veterans Committee is to advise the council on matters that relate to veterans and to educate the town on civics, patriotism, and by hosting patriotic events and other events. Specific tasks that we have completed. We had a Rosary to River joint group thing with the Elderly Affairs. That went really well. We had the 9/11 event, which also went very well. Our next events are the Veterans Parade, and we have, I think, 2 nominees for Grand Marshal, 3 nominees for Grand Marshal. It's a secret ballot. I don't even know what's on it yet. And then we have the Reindeer Run. An issue that we need to resolve, and I'll probably have to send a memo to Lorenzo. It deals with 2 of our members are active reservists. So they go off to do drills overseas. We have one who's gone right now in Middle East. And so, the problem is, of course, if done around, you're going to have a problem getting quorum. And at least when I was on active duty, if you were on orders, you had a Soldier Sailor Civil Relief Act, which is federal law, which I also think applies to the states. So I'll probably draft a memo citing that law and kind of walking Lorenzo down, the federal law as to why when these folks are on orders overseas serving our country, they shouldn't be counted against us for meeting quorum. At least that's the end state. And I don't think there's going to be a problem with because of federal supremacy and all that good stuff for state law to comply with it. That's it. Thanks.
How many members do you guys have? 7 or 14?
I don't know. I tell you, every time it seems like, another one shows up, to be honest. But I know we have 2 folks on active duty, active reserve duty.
14.
14.
Okay.
We got 14 now?
So I won't speak for Lorenzo, but I did bring up the quorum issue. And he said that the protection is, the committee can't remove him. You know how the chair now has within the regulations, the chair can, if there's a problem.
I mean, I don't know if I want to remove somebody because he's
Right,
serving
but
our country overseas. That seems to be in complete violation of the Soldier Civil
No, but
Relief Act,
my
which
point is
has
that's
criminal and civil penalties. to
right.
the
My
town.
point is that that's the protection that he has, right?
Yeah.
There's no protection, or there's no I guess exemption relating to, he still has to count towards quorum is what I was told.
Well, okay.
He can't be removed.
Let me
because
draft a
he's-
memo and remind Lorenzo of the civil and criminal sanctions that exist that are personal to the person who says otherwise from the Soldier Sailor. I lived this. I did this for 32 years. I know it. And so let me just draft a memo and then we can run through it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that the issue is removing them. It's the matter,
It's a matter
concern
of,
is a
when
matter
we're trying to get the numbers, we got to have 50%.
Right.
We have
But it's
14,
fifty
but 2 are
percent of the appointed members.
of the appointed, and we got 14, and if 2 of them are deployed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That 50% should drop by that deployment number.
Right. So maybe there's some, something that can be done there.
Oh, I have no doubt.
So
mean-
draft a memo.
Yeah,
to
I'm
give it
pretty
to-
sure Lorenzo's going to say, yeah, we're going to comply with federal law.
Yeah.
I have no doubt. I mean,
Well, the law protects the people on deployment. but
exactly
The
right.
law doesn't necessarily govern, meetings and public meetings and things of that nature. And that's where the conflict may be, but
Yeah.
maybe we can,
It's pretty
we can look
expensive.
at
I
it
mean,
and
it even
see if
covers,
there's
it covers leases, it covers credit card debts. It
Right, but
covers
it's all
mortgage
protections.
payments.
it's protections for the individual, but it's not necessarily dealing
I
with
hear what you're
the
saying. Yeah, it
administration of the
doesn't affect the
meetings.
meetings
Right,
necessarily.
right, right. And that's, but we'll see if there's an avenue for
Yeah,
doing it, because we have
a
an
good
interest,
point.
us as a town have an interest in you guys being able to conduct your meetings.
yeah. I mean,
So-
because it just, yeah, I think there's a win-win in there.
All right.
Thanks.
Get the mic.
The school board does when they have their quorums, if you're not able to go, they have an alternate for you. That alternate, if you're not able to make it, you tell the alternate they'll go. That way they can meet quorum. Perhaps that's something
Not
that
a bad
can be
idea.
discussed, you know.
I mean, whatever we need to do, because
Yeah.
I just don't want the committee to be stifled
No,
because
no, I agree. It's not
folks
to-
doing their duty, you know?
Nobody benefits from that. So draft the memo, make the request, get it to your liaison,
All right.
and then we'll beat it up with Lorenzo and see if there's some way. And
Yeah.
even if it may require modification to the
Town charter.
resolution that
Yeah.
created the Veterans Committee, or something to the effect of if somebody's on deployment, then
Yeah, it
that,
should probably apply. You should probably make a modification to town charter or whatever affects all the committees, because if they have somebody who's an active person.
Yeah,
who's gets an
maybe that
appointment-
could be considered as a temporary vacancy. And so because now the composition and how the committees are created and what the rules are, all of that is within our purview.
Right.
So that is something where we may have an avenue for figuring out a solution.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Youth activities. Hector, you can pass it. Brian.
I'm gonna keep it long on purpose. A few quick things. You recently had our bike rodeo and safety day event after COVID. It kind of went downhill to barely any attendance. I'm happy to say that this year we had the best attendance that we've had in the last 5 to 6 years. At least with people walking in and out, at least 200, 250 people that came to the event. Over 70 bike riders in the bike ride in the morning, most of them being kids. Everyone had a good time. Thank you to all the vendors that came out. Thank you to Officer Amador for reaching out and doing all that hard work for us and helping us out. We gave out hundreds of helmets, a bunch of bikes, and had a good time at that event. I know that event, I know at one point the council was looking to kind of eliminate it, but it being the second oldest event in the town and a safety event, I think it's important to keep that event. Also, thank you to Mama Nance and Public Safety Committee for being there and assisting us. You guys are awesome. Yeah. What Nancy was saying, that it was a little bit different how it was done in the previous years. And I can agree with that. We did start planning it a lot earlier. And it came out awesome. And with no sponsors with this event, we were able to get everything done. And it was great. Coming up here in October, we have the Halloween event that we host every year, the Nightmare on Montrose, on October 28th. This is now our committee's largest event. It beat Spring Fling last year. And this is the event that we have the most trouble with funding, just because of how large and expansive this event is. And now with inflation and everything going on, it makes it even harder to afford. Last year we had almost over 10,000 people show up, 10 to 15,000 people show up to the event. If you were there, You saw how many people were at that event. You could barely walk through the park. So that's, we're currently looking for sponsors. It is a little bit more difficult for our committee to look for sponsors as right now. There are 7 students on our committee and 3 adults, technically. Students, whenever they go to get sponsorships, they're usually turned down. I went through it as a student, and our adults on the committee all have full-time jobs. I work for Broward County Public Schools. I'm far away, can't go right after work to a business here in the town. Hey, you want to sponsor? It's very difficult for me, as well as the other adults in the committee. One's in medical school, studying to be a surgeon, and the other one is a teacher. So our schedules are a little bit difficult. So if you guys know anyone that wants to sponsor, we're open to sponsorships. We do have one sponsor so far, which is Memorial Healthcare Systems. They are sponsoring this event and a few other events, if I'm correct, Ernie. Memorial Health is sponsoring other events as well. Yep. So as of right now, we are open to volunteers for this event as well. A lot of volunteers for this event. So October 28th, I believe the event starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 10 p.m. We're ready to go. We're trying to get through with the limited amount of money that we do have. But like, as always, our committee tries to get as much done as we can. And we also are taking donations for Halloween decorations, Halloween costumes. We do this every year. We incentivize the volunteers. Hey, leave us your costume. And a lot of them will leave it. We'll give them like 5 more hours of community service just to bring in those costumes, donate your costumes to us, and we can reuse them for the next year. And usually these volunteers are all for it. They love it. And they keep coming back year after year until they graduate from high school. A few other things. So that's what we have coming up. We also have movies at the park. Hopefully we'll be starting that up in December. Usually we do 2 to maybe 3 movies per year. And we changed it from being every 2 weeks to once a month. So it makes it a little bit easier budget wise and sponsorship wise. We're working with that. And again, if anyone is interested in going to the Halloween event, you are all free to join us. I always extend the invite to you guys. I know public safety is always there with us. Education Advisory Board is usually there with us, and a lot of vendors. So we're getting that going. A few things I did want to bring up regarding our budget. Like I said before, it's getting very tight when it comes to our budget. This event is getting larger. Same with Spring Fling, same with all the other events and prices. If you went to one of our movies at the park last year, due to budget cuts and stuff like that from our budget, we lost power in the whole park because we went with a cheaper solution. That cheaper solution didn't work out and blew all the fuses in the park. So that's something that we've been looking at, and Ernie was there to witness where the fuses went out in the park and we had no power for the movie. Luckily, we were able to get it back up, but we were over an hour and a half late when it came to us giving a service to our residents and an event to our residents. So hopefully we could look into that further and try to get a little bit more money to the committees. I'm sure I'm not the only committee having this issue. Our committee has cut down on events. We used to have over 15 events. Now we're down to 4. And when we had 15 events, we were splitting $60,000 over 15 events. With 4 events, we have less than $35,000 now. So it is becoming an issue where the council and the town is asking, hey, bring your event bigger, make it better. And then unfortunately, money goes down, prices go up, our events are going down compared to what they were in previous years. So that's my only request to you guys. The only other thing I would have to say is maybe considering fixing that rule when it comes to attendance for meetings with the committees. Right now, most of my committee members are great, but there is one person on my committee that I have not seen in 6 months. Not at an event, not at a meeting, not at a subcommittee meeting. It's becoming a problem. I've talked to the council member. Oh, I'm aware. Nothing happens, nothing changes. So it is very difficult for my committee when everyone's like, I showed up, where's that person? They don't show up to anything, right? We're putting in all the work. We're volunteering our time, our services because of our love of our town. And then we have people not showing up. That's my concern when it comes to these rules. I don't like the new committee rules. I never liked the new committee rules. You guys kind of strip power away from the committee when it comes to, oh, I could show up whenever I want. I'll give you an example. I've been here for 11 years. I missed my first committee meeting last month. I've come to every single meeting. It's commitment. My committee that I have right now, everyone except for one has shown up to every single meeting. I haven't had an issue with anyone, right? So it makes it kind of a good group to work with. But then you have that one person that won't show up, is just taking a spot. And I have students that want to join our committee, but can't because of one person. And if you guys know anyone, I currently have 4 adult positions open. If anyone wants to join the Youth Activities Task Force, but that's all I have for right now.
So guys, I know we want to watch a game, and I just wanted to touch one thing because nobody touched on it. So we know about the love we have for the town, but I'll tell you this much. This Saturday, I did feel a lot of love from the town towards us. So I wanted to personally thank you all for hosting that breakfast. I know there were a few of us there. It was a beautiful event. I know you guys worked really hard on it. Isle, you're a beast. I know you're awesome. I've always told you how great you are. But like, I just wanted to recognize that, I really appreciate the fact that you went ahead and hosted this event for our committees.
Yeah, and this year, the crew that put it together, which was Claricel and all of the liaisons are the ones who worked on it. It was not, I wouldn't say it was rushed, but it was something that was new, right? So next year, we'll make it bigger and better just because we'll have more time to plan for it. But thank you for those comments. The attaboys and attagirls are always well received. So, all right, the last thing on my agenda here is committee report schedule. And since we spoke about it, I think it was at either the last chairperson's meeting or the one before that. I want to commend all of you. We've done a really good job of doing it. It was a new, not a new, but a redefining of what committees would go before the council and on which frequency. But from our perspective, we did make that accommodation. I know that Elderly Affairs and Cultural Affairs have used it more than once. If there's issues with your budget that you need to move money from one line to the next, you don't need to make that an emergency and make that a request for presentation to the council. What we have been doing from our perspective is that we've been accommodating those committees, and I do it under my manager's report. And it's a very simple, hey, we want to move money from this line to that line, and it's done. And it doesn't require, even, I think sometimes you haven't even needed to be present, and we just make it happen. So it does require, if it's over a certain dollar amount, it does require council action. So that's the only reason why it has to go before the council. I think if it's more than $700. So, but we accommodate it, we make it happen. And it doesn't require you to make a full report. We have been sticking to the calendar, and it's been doing really well. We did now slot mental health task force for January. We did, however, forget to give you the second time in the year. So we're going to revise this schedule and we're going to give you July as your second time of the year. And then we're going to reprint this and email it to all the chairpersons. So you have your revised calendar. And really the only change is that we put mental health task force January, and now we'll revise it and add you into July. So you have your 2 opportunities a year to go before the council. Yes.
And I forgot to bring this up in my report, but it kind of has to do with the going up in front of council and things like that. My committee has been trying to go up in front of council for the last 4 months now, or 5 months, actually, trying to request a budget item that we had budgeted, didn't know we didn't get, and it's for a youth advocacy award. We had everything done. I know Jonathan had the flyer ready to go. We had the application ready to go. The day that we went to release it, we were stopped. I just want to know what's going on with that and what we can do regarding this, because we've tried to go to council multiple times to request this, to put it on our line items. We don't need money for it. It could be sponsored, but it's been an issue for the last 5 months, just trying to get it on agenda. And all I'm hearing is wait until you go to present to council.
But you were scheduled for June. Right. So June was your opportunity. That's when your month, the June and November, those are your opportunities to go
understand that.
before the council, unless like we spoke the last time, unless it's an emergency.
That would be, I would be considered an emergency.
Yeah, that in all honesty, that's not really an emergency. So
But to my committee it is. So my committee
I
voted
understand.
on it. So we request to go to council as an emergency item, right?
but
It
June
may
you
not
had
be
an
an emergency to
opportunity to
you,
go.
but it's an emergency to my committee. That's how I see it here. So
Understand.
that's why I do not like this schedule. If every single how it used to be in the past, where every single committee could go do a report at a council meeting, I think we should have the freedom to do that and go request something from the council, right? As a committee chair, I think if my committee votes on something for me to go up in front of council and request this, I don't think I need to wait till June. I don't think I need to wait till November. I think I should just be able to show up and do a committee report or do a committee request to the council at the council meeting. I don't believe that I need to show up in November or June. I think it's ridiculous. I like this for committee reports, right? But if I have a request and my committee is requesting, hey, we want you to go up in front of council and request this item to be put on our line items because we had originally planned this, right? Then I believe that I should be able to go up in front of council and
But
request it.
all it takes, and we can disagree, and obviously I do disagree with you because we have had sometimes council meetings when we have 6 committees reporting and then it becomes really unmanageable for during the council meeting. So you have an opportunity and all it takes is for you to plan ahead. You have 2 opportunities, so it's not like you have to wait an entire year. You have every 6 months the opportunity to go before the council. You plan ahead, and when you are making plans for something that is something new that you need new approval for, or what have you, you need to take into account that, let's say you approve it in April, or, at the committee level, then you know that it's in June when you're going to have the opportunity to go get
So-
it approved by the council.
So here's the issue with what you're telling me here, and I have an issue with this because why did the town move forward with making our flyer, making the whole application process for this line item that now does not exist? Because now my committee's confused. It's an emergency at that point when our date to go live with this was in the beginning of August, right? Before August. All of a sudden, it's gone poof. You can't do this. You need to go present in front of council. Okay. Our committee voted.
Yeah, you had the
go-
opportunity in June.
No, I'm talking about July and August. The date for
But you had the
this-
opportunity. You were scheduled to go in June.
I understand, but we're under
And that
the,
was your opportunity to go get this approved.
I understand, but we're under the impression that this is already a line item. The town has told us this is a line item. Now, all of a sudden, this is not an approved line item. So I have to go up in front of council. On the day of our launch, which was in August, is when we found out we cannot do this. The day that we were supposed to launch this application for a youth advocacy award to recognize a volunteer in our town.
When was it approved at the committee?
I would
Is
say,
it something new? It's a new event?
so we actually had this on our line item the year before, but because of difficulties, we didn't go forward with it. So we were doing it again this year, it was on our line items. That's
it
why
requ-
it's confusing. That's why I'm a little confused as well as a committee chair for my committee. So I just wanted to bring this up. I'm still against the schedule thing, but it gets to the point where why can't I, as a committee chair, go? I'm sorry if it takes a little bit more time to go present in front of council, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, that is the council's job, is to listen to the committee needs as well, right?
I have to somewhat agree with him. Our board has had this question before too. A matter of fact, with having a newer, our liaison is new. It's confusing for her because in the years past and for years that we've been doing things, when we came up with an idea or a concept and we said we wanted to work on it, we would put the process together, we would plan it out, we would launch it. Half the time, we never even went to council to present it because we were told a little event or a little something that we're sponsoring or someone we're helping out with. That's normal stuff. That's what our volunteer money is for. That's why we raise our money. And I know our money is different than all the rest of the boards, but because ours is donated, but we never had that problem. And then all of a sudden, everything's been a problem. Now we can't do one single thing as a board. If we want to do something new, we have to go before council to get approval for it. If a new organization popped up in Miami Lakes and they wanted us to donate $500, according to what we've been told, we have to go before council to tell them that we want to donate $500 from our budget just to do it. And if we don't fit into this schedule, then we don't get to donate. And that made very confusing for me because that's like, well, then what's the point of doing anything? We can only do things twice a year. Might as well just meet twice a year because that's kind of what it feels like. I'm with him. I get the concept of reporting to the council. What are we doing? What have we been working on? What does our budget look like? What have we been mastering? What have we been looking at, et cetera. But when it comes to wanting to do a planned event or something, even if it's a large event, I get going to the council. But some of these smaller things, like when we're just trying to do an activity, like when we wanted to join with the Cultural Affairs Committee for the 4th of July, it was after we did it that we found out we were supposed to ask for permission to do it. We just did it. It's what we've always done. So hearing all this kind of confuses me, and I'm with him on that. I don't understand why we can't just make it this is your report. But if there's something specific you want to do, if you've got a plan, if next month we decide we want to do painting with a twist, according to what I'm understanding, we can't do it because we have to go to council and get their approval, and then we have to wait for that to happen. And then since we're not going to be doing it during this time, and we will see where would it be February. So if we want to do it in December, we have to wait till February to get December approved. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Anything that's the council, there have been some events that have come before the council or they've found out about, and they want to have more of a hands-on approach to approving things. Some of them are benign and it's not going to make a difference. Almost going to be a rubber stamp. Some things are not as benign and they want to have more of a say. So anything that is something new needs to go before the council for approval. Now, on a planning level, if you have something, and maybe that's what it would require twice a year for you, your committee to have conceptually a planning session and say, these are the things we want to do over the next year, over the next 6 months, and then just get them approved without a time specific. Now that's another option for you. But we're going to stick to the schedule. Things other than a line item financial transfer between one item or one line and the other, that I can handle through the manager's report. We're going to stick to the schedule. And what I would advise is that as far as maybe once a year or twice a year, have a planning session that you can brainstorm ideas, new things that you want to do, and things of that nature. If it's something that just presents itself to you and it's not something that is originating from one of your members, then that's going to wait. That's going to have to wait for one of your two scheduled times before the council.
Could any of those things, if they are not so large, be something that we could not wait for council and instead submit through our liaison to you to be put into that town report? Like, for example, let's say Hope for Autism, who we've sponsored many times for events, decides to do a summer beach bash. And they ask, hey, can you give us the 500 that you always do? Can we say, let's tell the town manager because it's something that we did not plan for because we weren't expecting it?
Yeah, that is more similar to a financial transaction, so that you can just submit and say, we want to move money from our contingency line to Hope for Autism. And that is something that I can just do without you having to go and do a report. Well, I can handle that similar to what I've done with the Elderly Affairs and Cultural Affairs and maybe some other committees that I've been able to move money just as a financial transfer, and that's it.
If I may, two items, and I'm in agreement with the scheduling. I like the requirement of presenting to council, but the scheduling this fashion doesn't work. For one, as an example, we don't know when we go to Tallahassee, the lobbying dates to go there, because legislation actually changes dates year to year. So this year that we're scheduled to present to council November 12th is the date for lobbying in Tallahassee. Our board has gotten quite small, and I have to appoint the newest person who just started 2 months ago to present to council. She's the least knowledgeable of what we're doing, what's going on. So that's a problem. The other thing is my other date is in June. Our biggest occurrence happens when we go to lobby again. And it's good to file a report, if you will, of what we've done, because that is our biggest occurrence for the year. And by this, it's 3 months after we do it. So I think that's wrong as well. The other thing I want to mention is the regulation of removing people. I have a similar problem where we had a member that hasn't participated in maybe 8 months of meetings. I finally got to speak with the council member who appointed him, she spoke to him, and he then returned with excused absences for the 8 months of missing, and then didn't show up again. That's a problem. Our last meeting, we had a special call meeting and didn't meet quorum because of these people not showing up. That's a problem.
Yeah, as far as what is or is not an excused absence, the arbiter of that, the decider of whether it is or is not, is a 100% the appointing council member. And that was the impetus of the rule change, because if you guys all remember, the reason why we made the rule change was what we were having was we had a process where people were getting removed. From staff, as soon as we got notification that somebody had missed X number of meetings, we were going through the process, sending them notification that they were removed, and that was it. The council members were just reappointing the same people. So what we decided to do, and the council approved it, right? And all of this, all of us, whether it's committee members, us as far as staff, we are the ones who make policy around here, neither us nor you. It's 100% the council. They approved the fact that they wanted to have control of those removals, because they can talk to the person, they can figure out whether it's merited or not merited, whether it's excused or not excused. I don't decide whether it's an excused absence. The committee doesn't decide. It's the appointing council member, and that was the reason behind that that rule change. So if you've done everything you can, right? You notify us, we notify the council member, hey, so-and-so's missed so many meetings. That's the new process. And then the council member is put on notice that they've missed. And if the chairperson then takes it a step further, which is, not in the written rules or the written process, but that's even an extra step, which is good, of talking directly with the council member and say, hey, your appointee is not showing up. Then if the council member still decides not to remove the committee member, then that's what we have to live with.
Then it needs to be changed, because that is rendering our work ineffective. And what are we here for?
Yes.
So we're all volunteers.
And we've made it abundantly clear to the council members that a lot of you committees are having issues with chronic absenteeism from certain individuals, from the same people. That is not a free-for-all. It's the same players.
Right.
And so they are 100% aware of that.
It's a problem though, because it doesn't fix anything with what we're dealing with then.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. So I'd like to respectfully request that we edit this along with the committee scheduling manner, if you will. I could see a requirement of submitting or presenting twice a year. I have no problem with that, but being held accountable to a specific date, it makes it difficult.
Yeah, the specific dates, we will set up specific dates for each of the committees. If the dates that are on here don't work for you, especially now that we're, getting started to start a new year, if those months don't work for you, work with your liaison and Clarisol, and we'll take a look at the annual calendar and see if different months work better for you.
Okay.
And that's something that we can work around and see if another committee can take your months and something like that. And we can work around that. We'd like to kind of set it on an ongoing basis. So when you look at the annual calendar and you try and make a recommendation as to which 2 months work better for you, take into account that the legislature has alternating calendars.
Right.
One year they committee in the fall and then meet in January, February. The next month they'll committee in the early part of the new year and then meet in March and April. So take that into account when you make the recommendation to your liaison about which months work better for you. And then maybe we can modify the calendar to better.
Fair,
work for
fair
you.
enough. But I think we need to revisit then the process of the appointees though.
Felicia.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quick. Two things. I know he's concerned about submitting a new event. I think we can treat that as when we do our relocation, which now you're treating it as the manager's report, is to write a memo, present it to the council, and what concerns me is if you present a new event, that's gonna be a new line item in your budget. So that has to be coordinated properly, otherwise it gets messy.
Yeah.
As
Let
far
me-
as.
Felicia, let me
yeah.
interrupt you one quick second. A new event is different than I think what John was proposing. John, a lot of their money that gets expended, sponsoring or sponsoring organizations, well-known organizations, and it's not necessarily an event. An event, I agree with you, and that would be different from what John was saying. If John wants to take money from the Special Needs Advisory, their committee does, and then sponsor, some other organizations, event or whatever, then I think that's more of a financial transfer than it is getting a town sponsored, our name on it,
okay.
event approved. I agree that does need to go on a report, and get it funded because, that's going to be more than just moving money around.
The second item is, as far as the absenteeism of people. I know, I was out for a while because of my treatment and I had to resign, and luckily my appointed, council member left the position open because he knew I wanted to come back. Some people just, like I said, show up to the meeting and then they never show up, or they call in sick. There's one of our members who's been under treatment and we don't have quorum. There's 3 members that have not been coming to the meeting in months. So my question real quick is, does the town send an email to them saying you have been removed for certain reasons or whatever, or do I as a chair contact them?
We rely on the committee, whether it's the chairperson or the secretary, to notify us and say that the person's missed 3 meetings.
Sorry, I want to touch base because I think you're confusing the old rule. We do not, as staff, remove the person and let them know, hey, you're removed. That kind of goes back to the same rule. We cannot do that anymore. That is not part of the committee rules that have been approved. So all that has happened specifically to cultural affairs is you guys have brought up an issue with a certain person. Hey, they've missed a lot of meetings, and you guys have brought it to my attention and asked me to make the council member aware, and I have. And that's from there, it kind of goes back to the point. Council can decide to remove the person or keep the person. And if you want to go one step further and tap into that council member and let them know, hey, this is really affecting us. Again, council has the last decision as to whether they want to keep that person or they want to remove the appointee. But staff doesn't automatically go ahead and let the person know they've been removed due to 3 absences, because that is no longer part of the rules.
Okay, my last question is,
But
the rules keep
just to-
changing and. we're
Felicia, just to
confused, so,
piggyback on
yeah.
what I was saying is, but we do rely on you to tell us, hey, so-and-so's missed, too many meetings. And then what we'll do is, the liaison will advise the clerk's office. The clerk will let the appointing council member know. And then then it's on the council member to either do something, remove them, or have a conversation with that appointee and so forth. So go ahead,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, so basically, I'll know the 3 members that have been missing so is she going to contact the council members or can I contact the council members?
You are more than welcome to reach out to the council members as well.
Okay,
Per the request of Cultural Affairs, which Cultural Affairs has already made that request of me, that notification has already been sent to council.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody here who knows me well knows the only time I open my mouth is to change feet, and I'm going to do it again. This issue about members not participating, not showing up, drives me crazy. A long time ago, I asked why a particular committee got so many members, and the answer was because those people vote. And that's what this is all about, is these people that are on these committees and come and do these things. It's about voting, and that's why the council has the authority and the power to get rid of the dead weight or not. It's all about the vote, gang. And I don't particularly, it drives me crazy because I've got a member who shows up, takes all the freebies, whatever, but doesn't do a thing. We're lucky if we get him to vote. It drives me crazy. I don't like how this works. I don't know how to fix it, but I will tell you that I have had an occasion where somebody, I was just counting the months, like one more month. And that sure enough, on that 3rd month when he didn't show up, the councilman turned around and put him back on. So I thought, all right, I'm getting nowhere with this, but it's aggravating because with only 7 people on a committee, you need quorum, number one, and you need people who do things. And we don't have that.
I agree
annoying.
with you. It is not a new phenomena. And when you're dealing with, how many total committee members do we have? 100? Over 100? Yeah, with 140 people, you're going to have all-stars, like what's probably in this room. And then you're going to have less than all-stars. And I served on the Youth Activities Task Force a gazillion years ago when it was first formed in the early 2000s. And with that, this issue or this problem existed back then. So it's going to be a constant battle, and we'll continue to work. When you notify us, we'll continue to work with the council members. If the chairperson also has a follow-up conversation directly with the council member, I think that only helps in trying to drive home the point that this is disruptive to the operation of the committee. So, Mario.
Would you be open to suggestion on the committee reports? I see that you're trying to limit 2 reports per council meeting, basically, right? So that's what you have. Would you be open?
Two reports twice a year per committee.
Okay, no, but I see for every meeting, you have 2 reports is what you have.
Yes.
Okay, would you be open, let's say if someone on the Special Needs Advisory Board, right, on February, they don't need to have a report. If they switch with Elderly's Affair because Elderly Affairs needs to report in February, would that be an issue?
No, if the months that you're assigned, your committee is assigned to report, don't work for you, similar to what I told Miguel, is if the months that are assigned to you don't work, now is the ideal time.
I
to
understand
talk
that,
to
but
the
if let's say
liaison.
you assign the months now and something comes up and your committee needs to report, would it be possible for you to switch with the other committees if they don't need to report, let's say? If there's no need for them to report, they're just reporting because it's up for them to report, and your committee needs to report because you have a line item that needs to get up to council. Would you be suggested, okay, can I switch with, special needs this month and then you take my month?
So here's the latitude that we can have, right? So the problem is we cannot have those months where we have 3, 4, 5, 6 committees, right? So I see where you're going, and I think that's the middle ground that we can go to, right?
Okay.
So what I will ask is, if you're a committee that you definitely have to, you feel that it's an emergency, you feel you need to go, if you talk to the committee that is assigned that month, so keep this close to you. If you don't have it, then we can always provide it to you. If there's a month, for instance, if John now wants to report in in November and he's not scheduled for November, he can go to blasting or he can go to youth activities and say,
Correct.
hey, are you going to report? And then you
I-
talk to our people, you talk to staff and say, hey, I spoke to Brian, I spoke to Miguel. They're willing to
Switch.
flip flop, to
Correct.
switch.
Okay.
It-
That's the middle ground.
that's doable. All right, that is doable. We can agree to that. What I don't want to have is. Right.
All right, so let me touch back on the absenteeism issue, because I think the meeting is running a bit longer than we anticipate, right? So I think it's been made very clear that whoever sets a policy and the procedure are the people sitting up at the council, right? And just like they changed the procedures, I think it will be, I mean, I hope and I assume they see the frustration, right, of the chairs of the committees. And hope maybe some of them are even watching the meeting. So I don't see why they cannot create their own set of policies or procedures that, hey, at 3 or at 4, whatever number they choose to put, if it's time, the person is not coming and you need to remove the person, cannot be reappointed. Because if now we're playing the same game.
I know
and
that's,
all
but
of-
Hector, that's the process we had before,
Sure.
right? So the process that they have approved that they want to have is that if people have missed, if a committee member has missed a certain number of meetings, and I think it's either 2 or 3, 3 now. No, but to notify the. Okay, so if the committee feels that somebody is not coming and they miss let's call it multiple meetings, right? You tell us, we'll notify the council member that appointed the
Right,
person.
but if a council member, like somebody mentioned about contacting the council member, it's been 8 meetings and they don't remove. I mean, for whatever the reason, maybe it's something legit, like William was saying, right? Somebody's deployed, I understand. Maybe it could be my friend, right? Who's appointed, and I don't want to take that person out and I keep reappointing. The whole point is that it's negatively impacting the committees, and it's not one committee. It seems like every time we have a chair meeting, it's multiple committees who are reporting the same thing. So I'm saying if it's a matter of policy and procedure, and you have to follow whatever they're dictating from the dais, right? Why can't they create a procedure like at 3 or 4, whatever number they choose?
But that's the process that we had.
They already choose it.
So their position, the council's position is that everybody's situation is unique, right? From the person who may be missing, that every situation is unique. So what we were having, which was frustrating, because we had it that automatically after 3 misses, the person was removed. And then we would notify the council member and say, hey, John Doe from your XYZ committee has been removed because of absences.
But
They
if
would just turn around and reappoint the same person.
but
So then the
that's where
committees were
fallacy
frustrated with
comes.
that. We did this in trying to combat that for the committee.
So the fallacy of the procedure and the policy is that you can reappoint the same person. And maybe that's what we need to make it clear. I mean, of course, they have to decide. It's 7 of them.
The
they have to
council,
decide.
I doubt very much that they're gonna want to tie their own hands and say, if my committee member,
So-
that's the person I want on there.
Exactly. Some people are abused. So if you tell me Felicia, for example, Felicia said you took a leave, right? From the guy, but hold on. So Felicia took a leave. Says she no longer counted towards quorum, right? Because they never
No,
reappointed.
she was removed.
Okay, but
Right.
I'm saying, but they left her position open. They knew she was having a medical condition.
Right, so instead of having, Cultural Affairs has 14. Right, so instead of having 14,
Now they have
because
13.
quorum is based on how many people are appointed
So
and
has
sworn
she
in.
been on it? It's 8. The quorum is 8. Because she was off, the quorum is 7.
Right, so then the head count is 13.
Sure.
Right, so the quorum changes.
But that could be done, okay? She left, she knew she wanted to come back, she was dealing with a medical condition. We'll hold that spot for, I understand that. But if somebody constantly, I mean, it's continuous, that month after month after month they're missing, and it's affecting the ability of the committee to function, what are we doing? I mean, are we creating the same anxiety, same stress amongst all the committees?
I wouldn't vote for that council.
Since we come to these meetings, we all complain, nothing ever happens. Why don't we all as chairs just show up to the council meeting and put it in public comments?
Don't say nothing ever happens because it was changed because of the complaints at this,
Actually,
at this
actually, if
chairperson's
I'm
meeting.
correct, the
So
committee
actually
chairs
things do change
requested
for-
for the
because
three to
of the-
stay. What the committee chairs wanted.
I got the solution. I'll just go ahead and run for council. Does that help everybody? Then I can tell them what we need to do.
And instead of using this schedule, I'm gonna just start showing up to council as well. I'm done going with this schedule. I'm just gonna show up to the council and put it in public records if I have to. This schedule's ridiculous. This system's ridiculous with absentees. Reporting to council, asking for stuff for the council. This is, I'm sorry to say, it's dumb. This is ridiculous. I, as a chair and me as a committee member, have the right to go up in front of council, right? Everyone here pays taxes in this town. We pay the council. We vote. Our committee votes because if my committee voted and now I can't go up to council, why am I here? What is my job as a committee member, as a committee chair?
I think the simple solution to this.
I think we should all just show up.
You want a simple solution to this. What the council should agree on with us, since we're working with them, they're working with us, is if we're gonna do the report, let us do a report on what we're doing. And if we are working on a project that we've planned in advance, it's gonna go in that report. But if we're sitting at the table and we come up with an idea or something that we want to do for the town and it needs to be done in a month or two, and we have to wait 6 months to approve it, that should be a special request. It would not be us coming to council to do a full report, but rather to have a special item where we can come up and speak for 3 minutes and simply say, we've decided we want to put a giant tower up for Memorial Day. And we're going to get a whole bunch of people to sponsor it. We came up with this great idea. We like it. We got these committees all involved. We're all ready to do it, but we have to get it done now and get it approved now because we only have 2 months to get it done. A special small, just to let us come up and tell you what we're doing because it wasn't planned. That's fine, but it's not a full report.
Yeah, here are the two ways that it could work. Either you can come up, anybody and everybody, you don't even have to live in the town. You can be from, Des Moines, Iowa. You can come up during the public comments and you can talk about whatever you want. Now, whether you're going to get action on it, I can't guarantee that because normally public comments is a one-way conversation. People make a comment, they go away, the next person comes up. The second thing is you could talk in advance, bring it up to one of the council members and have them present it as a new business item. All the time they can present it as new business items, to any member of the council, whether it's the mayor or the council members. They do things all the time where they do things in conjunction with a committee. So if you have an idea, something new, something different, it's time sensitive, pitch it to a council member, let them bring it up as a new business item. No, you have complete, you can talk I wouldn't necessarily think that, unless it's at a committee meeting, you can't do it all, the entire committee, but the chairperson can go represent and go have a conversation or invite the council member to one of your meetings where it's going to be addressed. And if the council member says, hey, can you sponsor that as a new business item? Then it's done.
Maybe at this point, maybe talk to the council members that have told me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, that if you need something done for your committee, just show up to the meeting. Because that's what I'm sorry, I'm going to start doing that. I'm not going to go through my liaison. If my committee votes for me to go present to council, I'm going to go to the council, whether it's public comments, 3 minutes, doesn't matter what it is, because I've done that before. I've shown up, did my 3 minutes, and guess what? They voted for us. They voted and added it to the
Yeah,
agenda.
listen, I don't control how they run their
I
committees.
understand what you're saying,
So
but
do-
this is,
You can do it whichever way you want. If you have something that's that earth shattering and that time sensitive, you show
I-
up
I
during, and you can
understand.
have your comments
I
during
understand.
public
Like I said-
comments or pitch it in advance to a council member who can bring it up as a new business
Yeah.
item. That's what I recommend.
like I said earlier, and other
Yeah,
people have
Yeah,
said it.
That the calendar, you can do that.
We're volunteers, right? We're working with their budget, right? That they give us, right? They're working with us, we're working with them. I've been here long enough to know that when I need something, I just show up. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm just gonna go. Because at this rate, that's the only way to get things done in this town is just by showing up and saying, hey, I need this done. Because it gets to the point where now for 5 months, and my liaison seen it, Officer Amador, which is on my committee, has seen it.
You
We've
know,
been trying to
Brian,
get this item.
Brian, in all
finished.
due respect, that's irresponsible what you just said.
I
That's the
understand.
only way that something gets done in this town. But, we'll leave that alone. It's not the first time that you made comments like that, but, I think that, everybody has their limits. So that is, I think that on that item, if there's not any more comments, then I think that we'll stand in a
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Thank you.